A trade agreement being negotiated between the United States and 12 Pacific countries is being called a bad deal for the environment and public health. The Obama administration is currently negotiating the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement. Many of the details regarding the terms of the agreement remain secret.
It is said that corporate interests have a lot of access. So if that's true, that imbalance of the public versus corporate interests, it doesn't seem reasonable. It is disturbing.
The Delaware Riverkeeper Network and other groups say business interests have too strong a voice in writing the pact.
What we expect out of the TPP is what we get out of every other piece of legislation where corporations have a heavy hand, have heavy influence, are brought in as primary advisors, which is exactly what's happening with the TPP, is that the corporations win and communities lose. Corporations get what they want and what they need, and communities lose the vital environmental, community, food, health, safety protections that we need, that we should be entitled to.
Experts say the agreement could include a provision that allows investors or corporations to sue the United States if they believe environmental, health, or labor laws prohibit them from gaining the benefit of some business venture.
That is exactly the concern that people interested in not just environmental regulation, but labor regulation, health laws, a whole range of legal tools that are important for the public interest could be either simply chilled because of the threat of this kind of problem, or could actually be overturned, or the government could be forced to withdraw them, along with the government having to pay very serious financial penalties to compensate the private investor for what they felt they had lost.
These investor protection provisions have been part of other trade agreements, such as NAFTA, and corporations have challenged environmental protections in the United States and Canada. A private drilling company is about to sue that nation for $250 million because of a ban on fracking passed by the province of Quebec.
Very high on the list of laws being attacked right now at this moment are laws that are seeking to protect communities from the damages associated with shale gas development and fracking.
There is currently a moratorium on shale gas extraction or fracking in the Delaware River watershed. The Delaware Riverkeeper Network is concerned that if approved, the oil and gas industry could use this trade agreement as a way to get around that ban.
So if the language can easily be interpreted to put the burden on the regulator, the environmental regulator, to prove that the regulation is a legitimate environmental regulation, that shifts the balance towards the corporate interest.
What advocates find more troubling is that the president is seeking a grant of so-called fast-track authority from Congress that would allow him to negotiate trade deals in secret without congressional input or guidance. Congress would be limited to only approving or rejecting the agreement.
There's a lack of transparency, and in the case of some agreements where even Congress is restricted in what they can know, that's quite troubling. It's a little hard to understand. It's true that diplomacy requires confidential exchanges between governments at certain periods, but to have a multi-year process where there's so little information provided by the government is a little disturbing.
The president is way overstepping in the negotiations of the TPP beyond the bounds of trade and things appropriately subject to international negotiation. He's actually reaching into domestic law and trying to use this international trade negotiation to impact domestic law here in the United States. That's wrong.
The public is being urged to tell their congressional representatives to oppose the treaty.
Right now, they need to get in touch with their congressional representatives in the House and in the Senate and tell them to vote no to fast track, to not grant the president fast track authority. That's number one. We can't have the wheels greased with that fast track legislation. Number two is they need to tell their congressional representatives at the House level and at the Senate level to vote no to the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement. Like I said, it's being negotiated in secret, but what little we know about it is fraught with peril and risk and hazard for the protections of our environment here in the United States. And so it's pretty clear that the TPP needs to be rejected in whatever vote it is going to be subjected to down the road.